Welcome to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildiko. I'm an entrepreneur, the routine queen, and the champion of thriving over 50. I'm obsessed with morning routines, energized living, and building businesses that work with your life, not against it. Let's dive in. So you started a PhD mentoring female entrepreneurs at the age of 59, and now you bust menopause myth for women and men. What's the biggest misconception about aging that you would happily wipe from people's vocabulary?
Well, what we say quite often is be an elder, not elderly.
Okay.
It's almost like growing into that wisdom,
Yes.
because I think we felt it particularly, we are more concerned about older women actually than men, but what we notice particularly about women as they get older, they tend to feel invisible.
Okay.
They kind of have that feeling of, and that's why I think a lot of women are resisting. That's why we have all these damn creams and things that we do to our face to make us look 17, going, honey, it's not happening. But, it's that thing of we somehow feel that being an older woman, you're not valued, you should disappear. There's all those jokes about, cat women and all of that stuff. So women are kind of have that feeling they don't want to get old because then they're not themselves anymore and they will be disregarded. So what we're saying is there are some cultures where that experience is valued, where being older, and it used to be here, you used to have the wise women. And I suppose that's
Yes.
why we call ourselves the wise women, because we're looking at valuing that experience, valuing all of that, because we've got here through doing a lot of different things.
Yes, absolutely.
And I mean, it's interesting. Sometimes some people, I was talking to someone about where I'd been, where, I was traveling and things like that. And people say, you've been to a lot of places. And I went, I've had the time to do that, because I've been doing it for many years. I've been traveling to different places. So it's not that I suddenly was a traveler. I've done it over a period of time because I'm 67. So I've had a lot of time to fit that in. So I am the sum of all of those experiences that I've had and the many different things that I've done during my life. So I've had those experiences of working in an organization, teaching in higher education, of running my own business, of doing all of those kind of things. So I've got all of that. And it is like sometimes when I was talking to somebody about parenting. So yes, I've been, I'm a parent. Been a single parent. I've been a step parent. So I've done all of those things.
You have humongous amount of life experiences, but
Yes.
so do we all.
Yeah, the old University of Life. It's
Oh,
great,
absolutely.
So it feels like, why don't we value that and come to that? And it may not be, I'm not saying that older people always have it right. What I'm just saying is it's kind of useful to plug into that knowledge and experience, if you're younger, if you're starting out, if you're doing things. So I guess that's why I still continue to be involved with younger people. I'm a
Okay.
tutor for a college where I'm kind of tutoring marketing apprentices. And it's great to have those conversations with 18 to 21-year-olds because they're just starting on their marketing career. And you're kind of having those things where you can kind of relate back to that. And also, they are still having those kind of questions, like, why are we doing it? And I keep saying, why are you doing that? Where are the smart objectives? Where are the smart objectives here?
What kind of things are you learning from the sort of 18 to 21-year-old students?
I'm resisting TikTok big time, I can tell you.
Would they be teaching you how to use it?
No. They're kind of like, but it was interesting because I'm much come from the, why are you doing this? But I had this great apprentice and she was great. She was working for a company that sold garden products and they realized that most of their consumers, their customers were over 50. But what she did was she kind of looked at, actually 18 to 24, that's the main demographic on TikTok. But they are starting to move out. They are starting to have their own houses. They don't really know how to do anything in the garden if they want to. So she managed to get herself a little piece of ground. She then did a whole series of TikTok films about her making a garden.
As a youngster.
As a young woman. And she said the most questions she got asked was about how do you make a lawn? I went, God, that's really advanced, I still don't know anything about making a lawn, I leave all that kind of thing to my husband, but it was so interesting that what she then did, it wasn't just, I like TikTok and I watch it all the time. she had, through us working together, had thought about, how do I make my case for that? How
And
can
of
I
course, there
say,
is
why is it
marketing.
relevant to that? So that was really, and I'm full of admiration. What I really like about working with young people is they come up with ideas and things that I would never have come up with.
Well, they are facing very different things in life.
Yeah.
Obviously, you just said you're 67, I'm
Mm.
51, they are 18. I mean, there's even between me and them, like the 30 years, the technology has come on, never mind leaps and bounds, but like
Yeah.
incomprehensible sometimes.
Yeah.
Like
But
all the,
yeah, and it is
mentioning that
interesting.
the
Yeah.
word at the moment is AI,
Yeah.
but then give it another 10 years and it'll be so ingrained into our lives.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe we'll be on to the next thing then. Who knows what that will be?
It's
Who knows
probably
what that
true
will
as
be?
well.
So
Indeed.
yeah, so it is really good to have those kind of conversations, with them, which kind of just, I think, is another way of keeping my brain active, not just kind of, not that I do, if I was, tempted to just hang out with people my own age, it's good to have those conversations across a range
Yes, that's a
of
very good
ages.
sort of way of intellectually keeping yourself fit, isn't it? To keep up with different
Yeah.
age groups.
Yeah.
Interesting. I had somebody in the chat, not in this studio, but somewhere else, Clive, who published an article about all the different coaches that we have in our lives. And one of the ones that really got me was having somebody, or many people, like you have a whole class full of youngsters who are completely outside of our age group,
Yeah.
outside of our industry, or different nationalities perhaps, who will put a completely different mirror to us and to what we do and make us think very differently. So,
Yeah.
very good example.
Yes. And I think it was interesting because I taught in higher education for a long time, and this is kind of some years ago, I went back and I was, it was a kind of conference, and one of my ex-students was talking, and he at that point was the head of social media for Asda. So, it's great. It's great to see them go on and do these wonderful
Yeah.
jobs. You're thinking, yeah, but I must have had some tiny effect on that. And what was really funny was he started by saying it was really, really freaky for him to have me in the audience, because obviously for 3 years I'd been the person at the front of the room and
Oh,
he'd
wow.
been the student. And even though he was a grown-up and he was
Yes.
absolutely on it and he was totally capable and he was doing this fantastic job, and he just kind of said, "Oh, Alison's in the audience.
Seeing
it's a bit
my
scary.
teacher.
It's a bit scary."
Yeah.
So I kind of find that interesting because I don't see them as that. I see them, and I used to say this, as soon as you graduate, you're not kind of my student. You are part of the industry for me.
You're
Always
kind of
thinking myself
equals.
as a practitioner. I said, once you've left here, you're not my student. You are another PR practitioner as far as I'm concerned. So I don't feel like you have to, be on a lesser footing than me.
Not at all. I mean,
know.
on the contrary, when I was
Yeah.
at uni, when we started third year, our tutors were very much encouraging us to talk about ourselves and putting our work out there as if we were already graduate designers. And I remember a friend sort of slagging off another friend saying, oh, she was studying psychology and in third year she already talked about herself as a practicing psychologist kind of thing. I said, well, probably they are being kind of
Not long.
encouraged to
Yeah.
believe, exactly, because by the time you graduate, you don't want to have the mindset of a student, do you? You already
No.
want to be in that mindset that, yes, I am a practicing XYZ, whatever I studied.
So it was really interesting for me, as I say, at the age of 59, having been in academia for like 25 years or so, to then decide. What I realised at that point was I was starting to think about, oh, well, I don't need to do a PhD because, I'm coming up to retirement age. I realised that I'd suddenly started thinking in those terms, in terms of academia. And then I kind of thought, oh, well, I don't need to do that because, I've not got very long. And I had to talk to myself very sternly and say, how dare you? You've just written yourself off intellectually. What are you doing? And I was working with somebody at the University of Plymouth, turned out, and she was always saying to me, oh, you need to do a PhD, you need to do a PhD. And I went, oh, all right then. So I kind of started doing it, as I say, at the age of 59. And that was really interesting because the first year I was doing it in Plymouth and I was doing it with people who were kind of my colleagues in a way. They suddenly became my supervisors. So that was quite an interesting, layers of relationship going on there. And then for a number of reasons, I kind of swapped to the University of Bath after a year. But going back in, and so that I was the student.
Yes.
I was the student, they were the supervisors, and that mostly was fine, but sometimes was just a bit like, do you know what? No, I don't really
And
want to be here
were
at
those
this
people
point.
generally younger than you, or as colleagues, they were, or some your
I
age?
think the supervisors that I had in Bath were great, and I think one was probably older than me and one was younger. And what was also interesting was that the other people who was doing their PhD journey were universally all very young. They were probably in their, late 20s, 30s, that kind of,
How did
stage.
that make you feel?
Well, I just felt sorry for them, really, that they were at the beginning of their academic career, because academia is just so, ugh, it just feels so restrictive nowadays. It feels like
Okay.
they've got to do things. It's a business. The students are going down. The universities are being run as businesses rather than
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
institutions of learning. So all of that kind of stuff on. I think particularly women now feel very um, even more stressed about the idea that they could take time out if they wanted to have children, if they've got other responsibilities. Academia is all about working hard. There's still a very macho culture in academia. I've never worked in a university that's actually been managed or run very well, but then it's run by academics. It's not run by people who are running a business, but they're trying to
Yeah,
run
they
a
are. They
business.
yes.
So and I'm telling so all of those things go on, and I'm thinking, do you know what? I'm glad that I kind of had quite a lot of fun with my academic teaching career, and I had a really good times. I mean, I went into academia when I went into, it was a polytechnic at that time, so the idea was I didn't have any training at all in how to teach. It was just, oh, you've done the business, so come and you've been
Come
a
and talk
PR
about it.
person,
Well, the thing
come and
is,
teach
though,
it.
nowadays going into business, that's exactly what we do, isn't it? You sort of teach. Okay, no, I couldn't just walk into university and teach what I know.
You probably could.
Well, funny enough, my little bit of teaching story is that I finished my degree in 2016 at Plymouth College of Art, and I wanted to go and teach there. So I went to do a PGC, but I had to do a year. Well, I had to take out a year to do my GCSE maths and English because I didn't have any equivalent. Because in Hungary, I took A levels in all the different subjects.
Goodness sake.
So I had to do, well, that's kind of like the baseline for any teaching
yeah.
course is to have GCSE English and maths. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I did that. Then I did my PGCE. By the time I came out at the other end and applied for jobs, or wanted to apply for jobs at Plymouth College of Art, it was no longer Plymouth College of Art. It became a university during those 2 years. And the absolute minimum was to have a master's.
Yeah.
But at that time, I wasn't ready, and then life
But
just
now
changed completely.
Now it's interesting. So I was teaching on a vocational degree. I taught on one of the very first PR degrees in the country that was kind of launched back, in what do I want to say, 1990, around about then. So it was a vocational degree. Yes, the first time I went to the library and I found a shelf full of books all about public relations. I was like, oh my goodness, you people have written about it, and it was great looking at them, because I was thinking, oh, I have been doing this for the last 10 years, but I didn't really know. So I found that very exciting. So I always said, I'm teaching the degree I would have liked to have done if I'd had the choice. If I'd known I was going into PR, that I would have done that degree. So that was great. But then what's happened is the value of practical experience has become less and less and less, and it's more devalued. So now to get a lecturing job, you have to have a PhD. So you have
exactly.
which means that you've probably done a degree, then you've done your master's, then you've done your PhD. So that's all of that in academia, at which time you're not really engaging with the real world at all. And academia, being an academic, is totally, it is on a different planet. So, when Brexit happened, I just had this, I was just absolutely horrified. I couldn't believe it. And I thought, I need to get out of this country. So I applied for jobs in Australia and New Zealand.
Oh gosh, okay, not even in
Yeah,
Europe.
I just kind of thought, I need to get away as far, I need to get away.
And did you?
Well, I didn't, what was really interesting was I spoke to somebody. I'd applied for this job in Brisbane, and I had a conversation with the person who was doing it, and she went, yeah, I didn't even get an interview. I didn't even get an interview for that job. And she said, yeah, we had a long conversation about it because we use your textbook. We use your textbook on our course. We use your textbook.
So by now you'd written
Yeah, I've written
books.
2 PR textbooks.
So why wouldn't it have been good for you to actually teach that if they use
well,
your books?
so they used my textbook, right? But I only had a master's in PR. So I had a master's. I had 20 years of teaching PR. I had a master's. I'd written 2 textbooks, but that wasn't enough to get me an interview over people that might come directly and they were doing their PhD or had a
Oh,
PhD.
wow.
And that
So
was to teach on a PR degree. So
that wasn't
that's
even to teach at the master's level.
no, it was undergraduate, yeah. But I mean, then I could have taught I've taught at master's
Sounds
level and
like
things
you've
like that.
had enough experience to shake
You
it
would
out of
think
your little
so.
finger kind
You
of
would
thing.
think so to kind of even just to give me an interview, but no, I didn't even get an
Wow.
interview. So that's what I feel. It's kind of been standing on its head. So what's
Interesting.
great is the apprenticeship model, which I am a great fan of, is because all those years I've been teaching, and there is research to show this. There is nothing as ineffective as a lecture to pass on information unless people immediately then go and put it into practice. So if you have your tutorial next to your lecture, great. If you have your tutorial at the end of the week and the lecture's at the beginning of the week, you've forgotten all about it.
Probably.
So
Or wouldn't it be good for the tutorial then to sort of tease out the information from, because it is somewhere in there. I mean, I know that you forget, like, if it's not put into practice immediately, you can forget up to like 92% of things.
Absolutely.
Within about 3 days.
You only hear 50% of what anybody says anyway, and then you only remember 50% of that. So by the time, and then.
But anyway, before we move on, I was going to ask, so how do you utilize that practical knowledge and everything in your current business?
It's a very good question. Because
I'm glad you say that. Thank you.
It's a very good question, because what's interesting for me is recently, so the business that I'm doing now is all about we call it menopause myth busting, and it's all about and it is, so it links back to my opinion about being an elder, not elderly.
Less academia and more life knowledge and life experience, isn't it?
Yeah, using all those things, from that point of view, and also really changing the attitude of how people regard women at menopause and beyond, and how women regard themselves at that time.
Yes.
And also looking at how organisations need to take care of those women, because, in ideal circumstances, the menopause is 4 years. Perimenopause, start to finish, 4 years, and then you're out the other side. Yeehaw!
But the symptoms don't finish just because you don't have any.
Yes, they do.
Well, I remember when I sort of gone into perimenopause and I spoke to a lady who was in her early 70s and she said she was still having hot flushes.
Well, then because she's not hormonally balanced. But people don't talk about that. People say, women, you just have to put up with it. But actually, she could have been hormonally back. She could have actually gone and done something about it, and she wouldn't have had them.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, because I've only just been like about a year and a half out of it.
Great.
In terms of the obvious. But yeah, I still have really vicious hot flushes. But trying to get any support from the GP is just non-existent.
But they don't. You see, they don't know. They don't have the tools in their toolbox. I think in the whole of their medical degree, they might have about a day on women's hormones. And the tools in their toolbox are the pill, HRT, and antidepressants. If you're feeling a bit miserable.
I mean, interestingly,
so they've got it. They're an F. It's like asking an F1 mechanic and giving them a hammer and a screwdriver and say, "Go and fix it." So it's not that they're not willing. Yeah. It's just that they don't really have the tools.
I mean, never mind the GPs, but I think the system as well. Because at some point, my GP surgery was like a group of 5 or 6. GP surgeries. They had a contract with like a telephone GP system.
Oh yeah.
And at that point I actually spoke to a lady, maybe twice, who was specializing in menopausal issues, and then she was doing more and more training. And because that was my question, I was actually sort of signposted to her, so she called me back.
Yeah.
But then just as we were sort of making some kind of a breakthrough, she said, she's moving on to somewhere else. But then also within a couple of months, the GP stopped their contract with the telephone GP service. So we are just back to the few GPs that are in our surgeries.
The GPs are private businesses now, really, and that's how they
like
run.
The universities.
That's how they run.
Just like everything.
So so what we're saying is that menopause. So it's kind of like it's like quite difficult, because I'm thinking about how do I get the word out there? If I've been marketing and PR,
you've got a microphone in front of you.
I know,
go for
but
it.
it is almost like if I've done marketing and PR and I've written books on PR, and I should know how to do this, right? But it's almost that weird thing that trying to PR myself.
I was about to
is
say, do you
very
see it
difficult.
as marketing yourself? And that is the hardest, isn't it?
It is harder. And
But
I
it
think
is-
this is for women doing their business. And I think what's interesting is, because then when I looked at my work with women entrepreneurs, when you actually talk to women, when they set up their business, it's often about them. So their business is quite personal. They
Yeah,
go
that's
into
true.
it because, so if it doesn't succeed as quickly as they think it should, if they've been told that you have to start, scale it up and sell it, all of these models that I was teaching at university for the books. That's why I started the PhD, because I'm thinking I'm teaching a model of entrepreneurship that I don't believe in, because what I see from the women that I experienced when I was being a coach and a mentor to women startups and women who were starting their businesses, and what I saw when I was a member of the FSB and Federation of Small Businesses, most businesses are not run that way. When we talk about a small business, small and medium businesses are supposed to be from 1 to 250 employees. That's a huge range.
It is a huge range,
to
yeah.
put into one box. And the majority of small businesses in this country, they are probably less than 10 employees.
That's what I would consider small, not 250.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the FSB did, a good piece of research where they kind of looked at this, and they found that 84% of businesses, whether or not they're run by a man or a woman, they are quite happy staying the size that they were. So people go
Okay.
into business for a variety of reasons, and it's mostly about what we would then, when we called a lifestyle entrepreneur, that's a kind of insult. But actually, I'm thinking, what's the problem with that? You're going into business because you might have had, there are push and pull factors. You might feel like you've had a bad experience at work, you've had a bad manager, you've been passed over, you're fed up, all this
not
kind
being
of stuff. So you
appreciated,
think, do you know what, I'm going to start my own business now, I'm going to be doing this. Or you might suddenly think, and this is also related to that menopause journey, because women go through, in their 40s, they go through their hormones are changing, they're moving out of that caring hormone, and they're moving into an estrogen phase that doesn't have that. So we always say, Lady Forgiveness has left the building, baby. So, it's like, so women are now going back hormonally to who they were before puberty, but they've got 40 years experience in a bank account. I mean, how great is that?
Hang on, let me just take that on board. So once, hormonally, is it like, I assume this is scientifically...
Yeah, I mean,
I've never
almost
looked
like
into
you
too
lose
deep.
that veil of hormones, because estradiol, the estrogen that's so powerful, it's a powerful hormone. We've been on a really strong drug for like 30 or 40 years. That hormone is going around your system.
That comes along when our period
all the time.
starts.
Yes, that's right. Because
So
what
when our
that
period
does,
stops.
estradiol is the caring hormone. Estradiol is the growing hormone. Estradiol is the one that it's 2:00 in the morning, and your 3-year-old has woken you up and it's thrown up all over you, and you still think it's lovely. That's what estradiol
maybe
does.
10 minutes after you cleaned up.
Well, that's right. Rather you if you were kind of sensible, you think, can I just take this one back and trade it in for a kitten? Maybe that would be good. But it's like, so, and you're moving. So what is perimenopause? Perimenopause is you're coming off this very strong hormone, and you're moving into your estrogen phase, which is where estrogen is made differently. It's not like you suddenly lose it all. So you have this estrogen that's made differently. It doesn't have the growing thing. I mean, estrogen it enables you to grow babies. It's a pretty powerful thing that's going around your system. So now you're moving into estrogen, which doesn't do that. Thank goodness. And you are kind of going back to who you are, who you really are. So that's a lot of women start their businesses in their 40s because they're having that hormonal journey. A lot of women leave their partners. We say it's not obligatory. Make sure you're hormonally balanced. Is it really that you hate his socks? It might just be your hormones are unbalanced.
Not even the hormones, but I think, it's that kind of stuff. You just come to realize that two people can just literally grow completely apart.
Yeah.
Or probably were never even in the same book, never mind on the same page.
But it's worth checking your hormones first before you throw
fair enough.
The baby's father out with the bathwater, if you like.
Then, of course, children are leaving, so you've got the emptiness syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? That's great, isn't it? Emptiness is great.
I don't know. I don't have children.
It's great, but again, you see, we're loaded. This is another thing that happens, isn't it? Oh, empty nest. oh, poor women, oh, we're going to be so sad because, we're not going to be useful anymore, are we? Because our reason for living has left the building. It's
Funny,
like,
funny
oh,
enough,
come
the way
on.
you saying it sort of comes across as if society is looking at women like that, but it's
Yeah.
women who say that about themselves. Or do you think they're
Yeah.
being affected by
Well, we're
society so
trained from
much?
an early age. But I mean, the guy that invented HRT, he called women after menopause castrate because they're not fertile. They're
Blimey.
castrate. Well, I mean, he did invent it to stop women becoming dull and unattractive. So, it wasn't anything about women's health. It was all to do with how they were,
I mean, we shouldn't necessarily
how
poo-poo
men
that
affected how they were, yeah.
poo-poo that view
Yeah.
to continue to be attractive and funny and. I mean,
Yeah,
I know what you mean. That the
Yeah. But the stuff now, it's like what I find interesting is now that the kind of, if you like, industry has discovered, oh, menopause, there's all these women out there, they're at this age, oh, we can sell them different things, oh, they're not needing period pads anymore, so we'll just recall them pee pants. And you know what? When you look at the adverts, I mean, they've got this pad, and she's pouring so much water in you. You think that's not a leak, that's a blooming tsunami going on there. That would be serious. That's a serious issue. That is not normal.
That's incontinence.
It's
Never
not
mind.
normal. Yeah, that's incontinence. It's not normal. You should do something about it. And so there are just the vast majority of women do not need to wear pee pants, for goodness sake. But they've sussed out, oh, we can't sell them this anymore. We'll just call it something else.
Well, I mean, that's just kind of like the world, isn't it? Whatever age and whether
Yeah.
male or female or anything in between,
Yeah.
we get
But no, but it is
bombarded by a
kind
zillion
of quite
things.
interesting. But so that's part of what we're doing is like we're out there and we're saying we need to change attitudes, and it's also about giving people information. And what we're saying is don't just wait until your 40s to think about menopause. Actually, it's part of your hormonal journey. So it is part of this thing. You should be learning about this at puberty, when
I
you're
was gonna
going
say,
into your periods,
does it
when you're
come
looking at
into
it.
biology when we are at school? I can't remember.
No. We had, you see, I'm in the era when we had one lesson from a very embarrassed science teacher who did the diagrams about sex education. It was like, this is the penis goes into vagina, this is what happens. And then we were all like sitting there, totally. And then he was totally embarrassed. He's like, right, moving on. I mean, that was about it, really.
I mean, okay, I went to school in Hungary. I do not recall any, like zero, absolutely zero sexual education. None at all. But I do remember learning about the human body in biology. Now, in a very different
that's
way.
only a tiny part of the story.
That's true. And of course, how a baby comes about and stuff like that. But I don't actually remember learning about that full cycle, that what happens to a female body later on in life, or indeed a male body, because there is such a thing as a male menopause, isn't there?
No.
Is there not?
It's a different thing. It's a different thing. Their hormones do it differently. They don't have, because menopause is the stopping of your periods. That's what it means.
Okay.
So
It's just like kind of like a phrase, isn't it?
It's like they do have a different relationship. They don't have the same monthly relationship with their hormones that we do. So whatever's going on in male hormones is different. And to be quite honest, I'm not really concerned with that. I'm not going there. But they do need to know about, I suppose, the signs of female menopause are much more obvious. So we always say 52% of the population will be going through menopause, but the other 48% are going to be affected by it. So they kind of should know what's going on. And also men
I mean, on the same page,
prostate cancer goes
I was
through
going to say, let's be
symptoms.
fair.
Yeah.
Just because there's a little bit more women than men, we still need to know about them as well.
Trans men will go through it too, because obviously their body is still kind of hanging on to that hormonal journey.
Yeah, the biological,
So there's a lot of people going through that. So, but we all need to know about it. Just know that's what it is.
Yeah.
So that's part of that deal. But PRing that or marketing myself. So I'm constantly in that process, and I'm now actually talking to the wonderful Alexis, about.
Oh yeah.
Alexis, I really need to get a word out there. How can we do this? So because I need somebody
You're the second
else.
person who mentioned her name today.
Well, she's splendid.
Oh, she's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And
must tell her that she's been mentioned.
So I think that that whole thing, what am I taking from all of that knowledge that I've got about teaching and my marketing and my PR skills and all the rest of it? I think what is happening, it's good that I do it with my friend and colleague Anne Hope, who was my homeopath going through menopause, which is great, because she comes from a different set of experiences. So
Yes.
she comes from being a clinical homeopath dealing with women's hormones for over 25 years. So she's done a psychology degree. She's she's a yoga teacher. She's done counselling,
God,
qualifications.
between you've
So
got
we've got
really
all of these things.
powerful.
So I always used to say she's like coming from the inside out. So she's had an inside journey and now she's talking about it else. And I'm outside in. So I was always about business, PR, marketing, all of those different things. And now I'm about that inside journey. Let's look at what does it mean. So I'm much more, I do the stuff which is more about visioning what you're going to do after you've come through menopause. You've got another 40 years. What are you going to do with that?
Yes.
What are you going to do with that?
Go
It's
into
kind of
entrepreneurship
important.
apparently and start
Yeah.
a new business in later life.
Yeah. So it's important and you don't write yourself off, So I do visioning, I do coaching, I do, assertiveness work, so all sorts of
I mean,
other
at
things.
67, you certainly don't sound like you're looking to retire anytime soon.
I know. That's kind of strange, isn't it? But we have bought a camper van, Ildiko. So
You might be taking
that's
a
always
little bit of time out.
Yes, we're definitely off to Ireland next year, and we did go around the South Island of
What are
New
we going to do
Zealand
without you
this
teaching
year.
us all about menopause?
Hmm?
What are we going to do without you teaching us all about menopause?
Oh, it's all right because we have got the video courses online.
Yeah.
So we did. That was interesting because we did. That's how we kind of put it out about that kind of male and female need to know about it because we were doing a course for women. We were converting a course that we did face to face into a video course, so it could be there, so people could do it if they couldn't travel. They could do it anywhere they liked. They could do it in the privacy of their own homes. So we converted the course that we did face to face into a video course.
Right.
Women, and we did it at a studios down in Cornwall, and of course all the engineers were men. And I think it was the day. I always say it was the day we were talking about vaginal dryness, and we said to poor old Mike, we said, "Oh, you got the short straw, Mike. That's what we're talking about." And he went, "Oh no, actually, it's quite interesting because I didn't know any of this." And they were all in their 40s, and their wives were all in that kind of. And they were kind of, "Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
interesting."
When the wife might be feeling a little bit embarrassed to talk about it, and then they might be thinking, "Why has my wife gone off sex?" And
he
so
was
on.
he was kind of having that thought about, oh, some things have changed, about how, and so they were able to have a good conversation about it because women, it's a bit like boiling a frog. You trying to think, oh right, I think I'm doing all right. Oh, is it really? Oh, I think I'm okay. Oh, that was just one day. I hope
Yes.
it'll go away. But somebody who knows you and lives with you will say, actually, you aren't yourself. You're not yourself. Something's going on with you. You're changing. What's happening? Can we do anything about it? What can I do to support you?
So how could the sort of 40-something and 50-something men be educated?
Well, you see, that's why we did the course for men. We did that one online.
Awesome.
So we have the same thing. And it's like, we looked at that, this is what the process is. This is so you know what it is. It's not your fault. It's not
It's
your
just happening.
responsibility.
Yeah, it's
That's
biology.
what's going on. It should last this long. These are the symptoms you might notice. And really, it's all about what does the woman need to support you. It has to come from her, and it's
Because the
almost
thing is,
like,
but it's a circle, isn't it? That if a husband supports their wife, then the wife will be able to support a family and so on, and the circle continues.
yeah. And I think that Anne had an instance where a woman came to her in her clinic who said she'd been sent by her husband.
Oh,
And she'd been going through perimenopause for something like 13 years, and it was really difficult. And he'd said, look, I love you, but it's my life too, and actually I can't deal with this. Is there something that can be done? I really love you. I don't want to do this, but actually I
Yeah.
do need to live my own life. And so they managed to talk her through, and, she was kind of like, get her into hormonal balance. And they got a lovely letter from him saying, thank you, I've got my wife back.
How wonderful a story that is.
Yeah. And so it's important. It's not just that
What a
men have to sit
difference
there
it-
and hide behind the paper for 4 years while the woman is going through it over there.
Oh God, that's
You know.
that's kind of what happened to my my parents, my stepmom. Basically, I've got two brothers and my dad, and basically all they were doing through her menopause just leave the house.
Yes. Keep your head down.
Yeah, and not even talk to her because she would just snap at anything and everything, and nobody was dealing with it at all, including her, really.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of mythology I had around the menopause from my mother and my sister was nobody told me what was going on, but it was going to be bad. That was just, so when I got into that and I was seeing Anne as my homeopath, I said, oh, so I've noticed these symptoms. Can you help with me? And she went, yeah, sure.
Menopause.
That's what's going on. So that was great for me. And then I was able to get through to the other side. And I'm like, yes, freedom, freedom, so it's good.
Yeah, funny. In many ways, I do feel like that. It's freedom, but I still suffer really badly with the hot flushes.
Yeah, and I think there's that thing of putting up with, isn't there? That I think women have been trained to put up with bad periods, put up with, endometriosis, put up with PCOS. And actually, that's because when a doctor says
What is PCOS? Sorry.
polycystic ovarian
Oh,
syndrome.
okay.
So it's like when a doctor says nothing can be done, what they really mean is
They
I
can't do
can't do
anything.
anything.
Yeah.
So if only we could have that feeling of, oh, I can't do anything. Okay. So
Who
there are
can?
other things. And it's not, we're saying we're not the way, the truth, and the light. It's like, where do you go to when you don't feel yourself? For some people, it might be exercise. And there are people out there that look at how you can exercise in menopause and beyond, about how to deal with your symptoms, whatever it is. I mean, it's not a reason that I got into sea swimming, but that is one of the reasons why that wonderful group, the Blue Tits, was started, because she said running into the sea screaming really helps.
Yeah,
And you're like, okay.
But
So
I love my cold showers, and I think
Yeah.
I mention it pretty often.
Yeah.
But my husband's come up with a really good theory of for global warming.
Oh, what, we're all in the sea?
That all these menopausal women having hot flushes warming up the sea.
It could be happening. Could be happening. But it's like, so what we're kind of saying is, don't put up with those things. So women have a thing of, oh, I just need to get through it and it'll be all right. And we're going, well, look at the symptoms. Are they copable, or do they affect your life? If they're copable, then they're probably going to be okay, and you might do certain things. Is it acupuncture? Is it, CBT? Is it counseling? Is it exercise? Is it nutrition? Is it all of those different things? What do you go to in the first instance that makes you feel like yourself? Go there first.
Okay.
And then if that doesn't work with those particular symptoms, look at what the symptoms are and treat your symptoms, not your age. So recently I had an issue where I actually had a slipped disc, an extruded disc in my back, which was incredibly painful. So where I would normally go, I went to the osteopath. Didn't touch it. Then I went to the acupuncturist, which would be my second line of defense. Didn't touch it. And then somebody mentioned to me this amazing McTimoney chiropractor, and I went to her. Phenomenal. So be open. It's like you could go with what you normally go to and then try other things. So I think this is quite a good thing in later life. It's look at what normally helps, but be open to other possibilities as well.
It's funny, isn't it, how we kind of forget about things? Because I'm just now thinking, when I started like the umpteenth level of arthritic treatment, because I've got active arthritis in a number of major joints, I'm now eligible for the highest level of treatment the NHS can offer.
Okay.
And I tried one. Well, this is going back years now, actually, quite a lot of years, like 12 plus. That didn't work. Then they said, oh, well, try this one. Tried it, that didn't work. Well, try this one. And then it was okay. And then I said, I'm kind of giving up hope. And she looked at me like, there's 19 of these.
Blimey.
Because they're different companies making different things, and they sort of affect the immune system slightly differently. She said, you've still got like another, 16 to go or 17 to go. And said, when you get to the last one, and that doesn't work, that's when you can give up hope.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
well, okay.
Thank
So
you.
try the next one. And it worked.
Okay.
It literally was like magic.
Well, that's great, you see. And you could probably put it together, all sorts of things.
This
Acupuncture
exactly.
is great. Acupuncture is great for joints. It's just like, what else can I put into the mix?
This is exactly what you've just sort of portrayed to me. Then, don't just give up after one or two or three different things.
No.
Keep going until you find what works.
And it might be a menu. It might be a menu of things.
True.
It might be some supplements, plus some acupuncture, plus various other things. So it's like, don't just try one and say, oh, well, I took that and then it didn't work for me. So we're trying to say, so that is that whole kind of, level of getting that information out there. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
That it's not, we also, our other mantra is, you don't have to suffer. And that includes men as well. So we're saying, you don't have to suffer either.
No, absolutely,
because
yeah, because
there are a whole
partners
load of
do.
resources out there that you can have a conversation about it,
Yeah,
and you need to be talking about this, not just kind of
absolutely.
feeling like you have to grit your teeth and, as you say, leave the house. No,
Or, yeah, or live
hide
side
all the
by
knives.
side. And, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
no. So
cool.
yeah.
Well, this is really quite a deep subject, isn't it?
I know.
And
It
it's
is.
vast as well.
I know, and I feel like sometimes we're just scratching the surface of it.
I was going to say that so you've been in this sort of whole, well, apart from the life experience itself for yourself, but actually teaching it and putting it out there into the world for a number of years now.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, in the last number of years, menopause has become a lot more sort of mainstream, especially,
Well,
I don't know if you can credit it to
as
her.
long as you get pills for it, It feels like it's...
Funny, I was just going to bring up Davina because obviously
Davina, we love Davina, but actually Davina was all about her journey and saying that it was all about, it was about medication.
However, then you find that the sheer fact that she took it into the mainstream, at least people are talking about it.
Yeah.
That it has really opened up the floodgates big time.
Yeah, but I think what's coming up now is, and what Anne is finding in clinic, is that it's caused people to fear the menopause big time.
Really?
To fear it. They fear it. And also there's this feeling that the normality of it is to take the medication, which actually blocks menopause. That's what HRT does. It stops you going through the menopause, and you will not go through menopause on HRT. I mean, I've had conversations with friends who said, oh, well, I've been taking it for 5 years now, so I should be through it. And I went, honey, no, because it's been stopping it. It's been blocking it for 5 years. When you come off HRT, then you'll go through menopause. So it's this thing of,
Is it because the progesterone part of HRT
it's
keeps your
hormone replacement
period?
therapy. It's hormone replacement therapy. That's what it does. It's treating you with
Replaces
hormones.
the hormones.
It's trying
that
to replace the estradiol that you've been on. It's keeping you on that form of estrogen rather than letting you progress through to estrogen.
I mean, funny enough, mentioning Davina, I listened to her book and it kind of persuaded me to try HRT. I've never ever taken any pill, anything in my life. In, I'm not kidding, barely 6 weeks, I put on over 8 kilos. That's 1.5 stones. That's like nearly 3 dress sizes.
Doesn't sound like that was working for you.
And
then.
a few other things.
Yeah.
So I came off it pretty much straight away. Well, 6 weeks I came off it because I thought I don't want. And there were a number of other things that, although it stopped my night sweats and the hot flushes, but the 3 other things that happened were so heavily outweighing the benefits that I thought, nah, I'm not going to put my body through this.
So Anne's got people that she talks to who are saying, I can't take it, I'm so scared, what's going to happen to me? And she's going, women have been doing this for thousands of years.
For millennia.
So we can get, and I like the idea that the only other mammal we know that goes through menopause is the orca. And the leader of an orca pod is always a post-menopause female, because she is an elder. She doesn't have to be thinking about getting pregnant, looking after the calves, doing all of that kind of stuff.
Amazing.
She is thinking of the strategy for the pod when the teenage, males get a bit too, right, you need to go off and start your own boys. So she's looking at how is the pod surviving. And so we kind of say, yeah, be more orca, so think about that whole thing of going, through that whole, that journey is important. It's important not just for women. It's important for society. We need women who are elders. We need women who are able to come into their knowledge and experience to be out there doing it differently. Because when you look at the state of the world at the moment, it's not great, is it? So, and who are mostly in charge?
Has it ever been? I mean, that's been going on for millennia as well.
Well, no, because, there has been all sorts of, when you look up, I found interesting I was on a trip to Vietnam, and what I found interesting there was they have so many tribes in Vietnam, and they have a number of them are matrilineal, and some of them are patrilineal.
Okay.
And they had a whole exhibition about how the differences in these different tribes and what they're doing. So, there are societies that have been led by women, and and led
in
by
all
men,
honesty,
and,
if you look at the British society, the greatest rulers have been the female royals.
I know. But there we go. And it was, when you look at countries with female prime ministers, and I don't want to kind of make it a kind of either or, but what I'm kind of thinking is I'd like it to be a little bit more even, because at the moment, all we've got is a small number of female leaders that we can say, oh, look at the difference if you have a female leader. But actually, and then you pit them against all of the other male leaders, and you kind of go things like that. But then you can always say, oh, well, I didn't like that one. Oh, I didn't like I hated Margaret Thatcher, I'm afraid, But it was like, oh, look at these women. They didn't do it very well, because you can do that because there's so few of them. You can name them and you can say why or not they were just a bad leader in that issue. But nobody kind of says, well, John Major was pretty crap, so should we not have any more male prime ministers? Because it's like the single woman is made to represent the whole of the gender, whereas generally men are just accepted to be, oh well, they're mostly fine. You get one, you get a few that are rubbish, and some of them are good, but there's more of them. You can actually do, like coming from my academic background, if you're looking at that whole thing of the numbers game, you have far more to look at trends, whereas for women leaders, you have less of them to think, are there any particular trends? And one of the interesting things I looked at in terms of that difference between women entrepreneurs and male entrepreneurs is there was something out there in my teaching which was kind of saying, oh, women entrepreneurs, we need more of them. And interestingly enough, before COVID, 19% of businesses in this country were led by women. After COVID, 35% of businesses are led by women. Anyway,
so what happened to women over COVID?
Well,
really,
yes.
I would have thought that.
Well, because all those jobs they were told they could never work at home. Suddenly, they had to work at home, and a lot of women realised, well, if I'm doing this from home, why am I doing it for myself then? And why am I?
Sorry, isn't it the other way around then? That
they had to
pre-COVID.
I would say that there was that whole thing of a lot of jobs had been said to women, you cannot possibly work from home. You cannot do, and you can't do a job share, and you can't work from home. Yeah. And suddenly during COVID, you must do it from home. You must do it from home.
So are there more women in entrepreneurship since COVID?
Yes. They're now 35% rather than 19%.
Oh, 19. Sorry, I thought you said 90.
Oh, hell no.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of
19%,
sense.
35%.
19 to 35.
But
that's a nice big jump.
More women were let go. More women were fired during COVID. They used that as an excuse to get rid of them. So they were starting their own businesses during that time.
Yeah.
And so what I was looking at was one of my questions I was researching was, do women practice a different form of entrepreneurship than men? Because that seemed to be what the textbooks were saying.
That's a very interesting question. No.
They don't.
When it comes to business, everybody just wants to make it.
Entrepreneurs.
Yeah, they want to make it. They want to make it happen. They want to make it successful.
They want to do it and they make it work with their life, whether they're male or female.
Yeah.
So there we go.
And going back to the very beginning, you cited some statistics where by the
85%,
FSB,
the FSB, 85% of businesses whether
a business is
at the level that they are. Thank you very much.
Whether it's run by male or female entrepreneurs. Yeah. Nonetheless, be more orca. Be more orca.
I know. How good is that?
Awesome. I mean, you learn something new every day, but that was really quite eye-opening. And I'm now my brain is ticking that, yes, my vast majority, but all of the animals, they don't go through menopause. They remain...
They're normally eaten or dead, actually, before they get to menopause.
Fertile all the way through their lives, don't they?
Yeah, but we have that wonderful time when we're not. But when we actually have that benefit to move into that fantastic third phase and be the wise women that the world needs us to be.
And start a new business.
Start a new
later
business
life.
Is one of those things. Yeah, it's great. It's one of those things that you can do if you want to. Let's do it.
So if you want to learn more about menopause, we can come to you and Anne.
Absolutely. Yes.
Fabulous.
The wise women.
Our elders.
Our elders, yes.
Thank you, Alison. It's been really quite enlightening.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic conversation. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.
Thank you for listening to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildiko, where we say no to slowing down and yes to starting up. Loved what you've heard? Please share it, screenshot it, and tag me on socials. Let's show the world what thriving in later life really looks like and share with a friend who is ready for their next chapter. Please subscribe so you are always in the loop. And if you were ready to stop running on empty and start running on purpose, well, come join us. All the links are waiting in the show notes.
including my guests' contacts, the Uncopreneurs Club, and the few tools and services I personally use in my business to help you thrive in yours. Until next time, refuel, refocus, reinvent.